Welcome to Legal 123s with ByrdAdatto. Legal issues simplified through real client stories and real-world experiences. Creating simplicity in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of Legal 123s with ByrdAdatto. I'm your host, ByrdAdatto. My co-host, Michael Byrd.
Thanks, Brad. As a business and healthcare law firm, details matter. This season's theme is Zoom In. Once we know our big picture vision or strategy, we have to roll up our sleeves to get the work done. With each episode this season, we'll have our typical stories and make sure we talk about specific actions to focus on for 2022.
Yeah, Michael, I'm excited today's episode because we're going to combine two of my favorite things.
We're talking about cold beer and dad jokes.
Cold beer, maybe. I'll drop maybe three of them. Cold beer, we were going to talk about that, sure. But healthcare and the NFL. And speaking of the NFL.
No, don't go there. I know you're a Saints fan. We all know you're a Saints fan. And our ratings will plummet if you start talking.
Okay. One time I'm going to have a whole thing on the Saints. All right. But, you hear these terms, Mike, like NFL, NBA, NHL, and we a lot of time assume that the general public actually understands what these abbreviations or acronyms mean.
Sure. Yeah, of course. NFL is National Football League. NBA is the National Basketball League. NHL is the National Hockey League.
Yeah. And so that started having me think about acronyms that you and I, or the legal peoples, use all the time. And we as attorneys, we start saying things and maybe the general public doesn't understand, like what's, we say NDA or LOI or POA or SPA or FCA or CLIA or EKRA.
Okay. This is reminding me, we all know those a-hole businessmen out there that start dropping acronyms that they know people don't know what they mean, but they act like you should. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying you're an a-hole.
Okay.
I'm not saying you're not, but I just want to know where you're going with all this.
Well, I thought today we could have a little bit of fun with these strange but true military or government or law acronyms that even us probably don't know, the common lawyers, because, there are so many out there that when people start throwing them out there, as you said, you have that look from your dog where he's like looking sideways, like, what the heck did you just say? So you ready for it?
As a judge would say, you have a very short leash.
Fair enough.
Okay.
All right. The very first one, the Lorax. What does that mean?
Dr. Seuss.
No, that's the Lorax, but sure. Yeah, that stands for the Liaisons Officer for Recognized and Authorized Classification Societies.
Okay, what's a classification society?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's the government. All right, ready for the next one? This one sounds like fun, though. DISCO.
Okay, what does that mean?
Defense Industrial Security Clearance Office.
It really sounds like you're just stringing a bunch of words together. Okay.
This is their government, baby. Dr. Bob.
Okay.
Defense Resale Business Optimization Board.
I don't know. I think the leash is getting shorter, Brad.
All right, last one. All right. And, a lot of people don't think government has a sense of humor, but this was one of my favorite ones. Beer. Brewers Access and Economic Relief Act of 2013. And as you know, we all need more beer to make us happy.
I kind of feel like we got beer and dad joke all there by the government.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you, government.
All right, let's stop.
Okay.
Our guest is going to hang up on us if we do any more, I think. And let me introduce our guest today. His name is Keith Gray. Keith graduated from the University of Connecticut with a BS in Actuarial Science and Mathematics. Sounds very impressive.
It does.
He was an offensive lineman at the University of UConn. He played multiple years in the NFL, going back to National Football League. And today he is the CEO of Parameno Health, a healthcare management company in Dallas. Keith, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Well, Keith, we're, obviously we've had you and I over the years have had a chance to catch up and hear about your really cool life, and you have this cool story. And so I think from our audience perspective, I'm really excited for them to share with you your story with us. But let's kind of go back and take a big step back. And you have this interesting path of where you started. So you always, and you have told me this, you've always been interested in healthcare. And but what did you want to do? What led you to ultimately choose UConn?
As a kid, when I was asked what I wanted to do, I was a bigger kid always. right? I looked at my kindergarten picture and I was probably 6 foot then. And everybody else was small. And I was like, I'm trying to find me, and I'm like, okay, who's the teacher, right? They're like, no, that's you. So, but it surprised a lot of people that my first choice was I wanted to be a physician. I saw myself wanting to be, just dealing with patients, helping people, whether that was a surgeon or just family practice. I really didn't know, but I just knew I wanted to be a doctor. And really, when I broke down all the schools that were offering me to play football, I looked at the different schools of medicine, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to UConn. They had a great facility there, so I was like, this is gonna be perfect.
And did you pick your major as a part of your pathway to go into medicine?
I wanted to, and so what I didn't realize, right? I had all these plans and visions in my mind to be a physician, but the requirements of football doesn't really allow you to do residency and all that, so it wasn't possible because you got to fit all your classes in a 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. window because you got to make it in time for lunch, and then film started at 1 p.m. and you were done about 8 p.m.
Wow.
So trying to do all that, it wasn't possible. So my first 2 years, I actually went undecided because I was stubborn, and I'm like, they're gonna let me be a doctor. I was like, my parents always told me, look, you got this scholarship. Don't do communications because because you want to be on TV after your NFL career. There's just not enough spaces, right, to be Tony Romo. So, that was my plan. I'm like, I'll just get a communications degree then. I'll be on TV when it's all said and done. And they're like, absolutely not. So I needed to do something meaningful with that scholarship.
That's amazing. And so at what point, we know you went in the NFL, I want to ask about that in a minute, but at what point did you realize that was going to be a possibility? Was that all like early on in college or towards the end?
So really, I mean, when I couldn't become a doctor, right? I said, okay, well then I'll be a physical therapist. Like it's the same thing. Like the time requirement's just not going to happen. So it was sophomore year, and I'm done with all my prereqs. And now it's like, hey, it's time. So I'm meeting with the educational staff for UConn football, and you got to pick something. So I went to all the different schools, and I'm just like, man. And then math was something that was always easy for me. So I was like, I'm just going to be a math major. My dad, he was one. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do that. And when I went into the math building, the head of the actuarial program saw me with my football sweats on, and he said, hey, what are you doing in here? I was like, I'm a sign up to be get a math degree. And he's like, well, what about actuarial science? I was like, I don't know what that is. And so what he told me sounded great. He said, look, actuaries have almost a 0% unemployment rate. They make really good money. So when you're done playing football, you can still make good money. I said, all right, let's do this.
Great advice.
It really was. It was. And then he let me in on a secret. Emeka Okafor was there, and he said, well, basketball has a finance guy, but man, if we get a football player to do actuarial science, we'll kill the finance department. I was like, okay. I see what's going on here.
That's awesome. So you went on to the NFL after UConn. I'd love to hear a little bit about that and hear were you able to stay connected to healthcare during your NFL career?
So I was. So after UConn, I went to Carolina. So I was a rookie with the Panthers. I was there with Cam wasn't there. I had Jake Delhomme.
Louisiana boy.
I'll tell you, being there as a rookie and hearing him do the cadence, I had no idea what he was saying. I was, running drills. I was just snapping the ball when it's out. I was like, I think he wants it. I couldn't figure out. Which, a lot of my family's from Louisiana on my dad's side, but man, I'll tell you, he was a tough one to understand. And
thick accent. There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. So I started out there, and but I could never just rest. So during the off season, and even during